Hey there, DSeo. Long time no see.
Yeah, it has been a long time.
So, what brings you here today?
Actually, I need a small favor. I need to do a psychology project in front of the whole human race and I can't find anything about it. Can you summon back a psychologist for me from the past?
Sure.
Really? Wow.
But first, there are some things I need to know.
You can't just, summon a psychologist?
I need to ask some questions. What prospective psychologist should I call? What career in psychology do you want to pursue? What psychologist do you want to know about? Do you like lemons?
I like lemons. I have no idea about anything else.
Okay then, here's a list of psychologists.
Bandura seems interesting.
Albert Bandura? Okay.
Actually, I think G and PJ might be better.
Alright, fine.
Who's this Noam Chomsky guy? I think he will be more interesting.
This better be our last time.
Wait. No, sorry, actually, call this Edward Thorndike guy. Thorndike.
I think 4 might be too much.
I think I've made a mistake.
It's not that bad. Those 4 psychologists just came to this time period. We can visit them and then send them back.
Where is this place?
This is Switzerland, where Jean Piaget lives.
Hello there.
Yes, I can transport you back to where we came from.
Can you tell me about what you did for psychology?
There are many things, but my main contribution is the cognitive development theory.
What is the cognitive development theory?
In my theory, I said that cognitive develops in stages, so what I thought was that people's mind change over time. From birth to about 2 years old, the child is in the sensory-motor stage. The world is known through the senses. The child sees, touches, tastes, smells, and feels everything to learn. They don't have object permanence. It doesn't exist anymore when they can't see something. So when we cover our faces and then open them, the baby genuinely thinks the face appeared out of nowhere. The next stage is the pre-operational stage, when language develops from age 2 to 7. Children display egocentrism, thinking of only themselves and not considering other points of view. They do not use logical thought yet and engage in pretend play.
Interesting.
Yes, it is. The third stage is the concrete operational stage from ages 8 to 12. Children can think more logically about tangible concepts but not abstract ones. For example, they will understand conservation, knowing that the amount of water is the same even if it is poured from one container to another. Lastly, the formal operational stage continues from age 12 and up. Children can do abstract reasoning and compare things in their minds without physical objects. They can reason from a hypothesis and achieve metacognition, which means thinking about how we think.
That must have been an enlightening theory at the time.
That's very true, but now we have to move on to see the other psychologists.
See you later, Mr. PJ.
And now we're in the United States.
Who are we gonna see then?
All the other 3 psychologists are in the US, so we shouldn't have much trouble finding them. Here comes Noam Chomsky.
Hey there!
Hello, can you tell us about your psychological theory?
Sure. Although my theory is as linguistic as it is psychological. I said that all humans were born with the ability to learn all languages, and language learning is instinctive. I proposed the idea of a language acquisition device, LAD for short, which enables the child to quickly learn language rules. The LAD focuses on learning grammar, which is why young kids make grammar mistakes in their speech by saying things like sheeps or I thought.
That's very interesting. It makes sense in a way.
I also said that there was a critical period for language development. Children will be able to learn a new language during this period easily, but language learning may become harder after the critical period.
True. Let's get going now to the other psychologists. The psychologists we've seen until now are all cognitive psychologists.
What is that?
The cognitive branch of psychology studies thought, focusing on how our interpretation of events affects behavior and vice versa. It talks about topics like intelligence, memory, and language.
Who are we gonna meet this time?
We are now going to meet Edward Thorndike, who wasn't a cognitive psychologist. Rather, he was a behaviorist.
What's a behaviorist?
Hello,
can you tell me about what you did for psychology and what for behaviorism?
I was the first person to experiment with operant conditioning using cats. I put a cat in a puzzle box that had an escape way for it to get food, pressing a lever or pulling a string, and I observed the time it took for each cat to escape each time. The results showed that repeated trials with the same cat made the cat do it quicker and more accurately. I described this as trial and error learning, which became the basis for Skinner's future theory of from the experiment with cats. I concluded that if the consequences of behavior are pleasant, the likelihood of behavior will increase, but if they are unpleasant, it will decrease.
Amazing.
I didn't know that Skinner built on your theory to make operant conditioning. It's very interesting. Now we have to...
What's that sound?
This must be Albert Bandura.
Hello, Mr. Albert Bandura. What are you doing?
Hello, right now I'm in the middle of an experiment.
What experiment? Why is he punching the doll? Also, what is your contribution to psychology?
I'm looking at how kids act when they see an adult punching a bobo doll.
How?
Right now, the child observes the man punching the doll. Then I send the child to a room of toys. After that, I take the toys away to make the child frustrated. I then put the child into the room with the bobo doll and observe the child's actions. See, the child is much more likely to hit the doll and be aggressive towards the doll after watching the man hit the doll before. How is this related to psychology? This proved that children could learn by observation.
Interesting. Are you also a cognitive psychologist?
No, I'm a behavioral psychologist.
Behavioral?
Behaviorism is a psychological approach based on the idea that all behaviors are learned. It only focuses on behavior, which is observable, and it does not account for cognition and mental processes.
Interesting. That was amazing.
Now, it's time to send them back.
Bye, guys. What a great time.